Okay, so this call is being recorded at the behest of Lata, who wants us to say a few words on our IIT 1967 batch days. And I just want to introduce Ashok Khanna, Ashok Kharbanda, Vinay Kumar, Ramani, Ramanathan Sankran, and Harish Seth. So the first guy who's going to be speaking is Ashok Khanna, based in New Delhi. Ashok.
Hello guys, nice to see you all. Talking about the IIT days, I think the number one that comes to anybody's mind is the people, the friends we stayed with and we had a lot of fun with in the hostels, first at Narmada, then at Kaveri. And I think the second thing would be about the activities. Particularly, I recall going to the boat club every day, horse riding every morning. That was great fun. And then, of course, the institute days or hostel days, they were great things to see and meet everybody, including the professors and their families. And then, of course, I think when we talk to our friends in other institutes like Kharagpur, I think they had very bad food. We didn't have such bad food. In fact, the other day I was having that Malabar paratha, and I was remembering that we used to have that also. And on Sundays, chicken biryani and dosas on Sunday mornings. It was fun. So I think that's in a short way enough to be said. Over to Ramni.
Okay, Ramni is based in Chennai, and Ramanathan Sankran, please, your floor. Go ahead, Ramni.
My memories of IIT are very faint, actually. Very, very faint. Even though I'm in Chennai. Probably because I am in Chennai. I don't know. But the one thing that struck me was that we came from such diverse backgrounds. Coming from different parts of the country. It was a wonderful experience to see people from the north, from the south. It was a beautiful amalgamation of different cultures. The first 2 years were fun. As Ashok said, it was horse riding and boating in the boat club. But then in the second year, when the grades started suffering, so reality dawned on us, and then the serious part started in the third year, I think. The fun part of it was, of course, the visits to the beach, the weekends and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, those memories are no longer the memories I treasure. There are just two things that come to my mind when I think of IIT days. The first one is a lesson I learned in life from one of my own colleagues. And that's the great part of it, not from the institution, but from my colleagues. It was a weekend, one of those long weekends, where everybody goes home and very few people in the hostel. So this guy comes up to me and says, let's play a game of Tennicoid. Remember that game, Tennicoid? It was popular in those days, but somehow it's not very popular now. So I was, pretty good at it. And this guy was not particularly good. So I don't know what happened, but I just beat him 15-0, 15-0, 15-0 over in 5 minutes. And I thought I'd done a great thing. This guy comes up to me and says, Ramani, do you know you've actually ruined my holiday? I said, yeah, what have I done? He said, do you know what it is to play, to enjoy sport? See the message, he said, Ramani, I wanted to play, but you were just trying to show you're better than me. I know you're better than me in this game. That was a lesson that struck me, and that person is actually R. Chandrasekhar, the metallurgist. Later on in life, we worked together for 17 years in Gorakhpur. We're great friends even now. But that lesson to me was something I'll never forget. It taught me that everything you do in life is to be participative, not necessarily competitive. That's the message I got from IIT. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ashok Kharbanda, are you ready? Ashok Kharbanda?
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes, Harish.
Go ahead. Ashok Kharbanda.
Thank you, Harish. Well, IIT days, let me start from the beginning. It was a totally different world for people coming from Delhi. we were meeting people who had very different backgrounds. They spoke different languages. They ate different food. So it was a totally different world as far as I was concerned. It took me really some time to get adjusted to, but not very much. After the initial few days, got adjusted to the surroundings, the people, but food was the major part, which took quite a lot of time to get adjusted to. I think if I remember a very interesting incident, a few months after we had joined IIT, there were announcement of various committees being formed, sports committee, cultural committee, and one committee listed at the very end was the mess committee. So you remember Ashok Chabra, he was a foodie like me. Ashok Chabra, Harish, a few other guys, I don't really remember everybody's name. We got together and said, we forget every other committee, become member of the mess committee. That is the thing we need to. And that's what we did. And overnight we changed the menu.
Vinay Kumar, BTech Chemical, my batchmate based in New Delhi. Vinay, all over to you.
Thank you, Harish. To me, IIT, the 5 years, in fact, I spent 2 more years because I also did MTech, were very, very, very enjoyable. Ramani, incidentally, used to be almost my neighbor. I was in room number 63 and he was in room number 61. And I can tell you one incident. When my daughter was very young, I wanted to get her admitted in Delhi in a school called The Study. And I went to The Study. That study is in Golf Links. And they said, do you know anybody in Golf Links who can give you a reference? So I just saw a board, Arvind Taneja. And Dr. Arvind Taneja was the neighbor in 62, who he left after first year. And he's become a famous pediatrician now in Delhi. So it was nice to meet Arvind. He was a good dear friend then. And I mean, that apart, I think those days were real fun. A combination, I don't think anybody would have played cards the way we did. We were a group of maybe 10, 15 people who played 3 cards and later rummy. A stage came when we learned food and we had a team of 4 tournament. It was terrific fun. I, like Ramani, happened to be a good cricketer. I had the opportunity to play tennis. That was also great, great fun. Sundays were great fun, going to Elias Beach for swim, coming back with, and I like the, the Malayali Maida Paratha with Hima for lunch. I still remember that very well. I loved the open air theatre movies. And then, of course, there was a phase when we had 3 periodicals or 3 tests on a Saturday. So we played cards all week. Then on Friday night, we stayed awake all night to study. And then, of course, after that, we used to sleep till Sunday evening to go for the movie. It was, overall, we made some lovely friends. And, I had the privilege, you can say, of coming from a place with India. There was no South in North India because I come from Hyderabad. And then by my background also, I am a North Indian, South Indian. So to that extent, from day one, I was able to integrate fantastically with the entire lot. I also remember very well, there were small groups, as does happen. So one group we identified was the Killer Gang, Ramani being a part of it. And probably Satyaprakash Shukla, late good friend, was the captain. It was overall very great fun. The card group with the Charanjit Singh, Suresh Shinoy, of course, and then with Charanjit Singh, Dandona and Dugal adding to the fun. We had great fun. Thank you. I think it was the best time I've had. Of course, thanks to the good inputs. With all this, I must say, there was also the drive somehow to study and so do reasonably well academically. Thanks to friends like Harish, who gave his notes at crucial times. Thank you.
Great. So Harish,
Ashok Kharbanda, are you good now? Can you just say a hi and maybe you can finish your delivery, whatever you're saying. Can you hear me, Ashok?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead and finish your talk.
Well, I've already said whatever I wanted to. Just to sum up, we had a great time at IIT, learned a lot of new things, met a lot of new people, got exposed to new culture, made some very good friends with whom we still maintain a regular relationship. It's been great fun, great experience, super days, I would say.
Okay. So anyway, thank you guys. And I will also add to my memories. My first memory is about the train ride that we took from Delhi to Chennai. In those days, I remember it used to take 2 nights, and we used to carry puri aloo from here. I remember also that on one of the train rides, we were ragged because Jaideep Singh Kittu was with us. I have memories of my first haircut, going to Saidapat and losing the my pom-pom hair, which I could not explain to the barber not to cut it, and the first thing he did was to cut it off. So that is another thing. Other memories I have about IIT hostel days was the volley of abuses in Punjabi that I could see from one side of the, I think it was the Tapti hostel, to the other side, by the choicest abuses in Punjabi by Punjabi people. And I think one of those guys was Charanjit Singh Dandona. And I think on the other side, there was somebody, I can't remember his name, but those abuses I still remember. I don't remember my IIT teachings, but those abuses were so explicit that I can still carry on about them. The as far as the IIT, I think the biggest thing that we had in the IIT days was the absence of women. There were none. And they remember there was one girl, if I remember her name correctly, her name was Shreya. She had a particular gated walk, which was very different to a normal walk, but still very soothing to the eyes to see somebody like her walking on this thing. I have memories of Stella Maris days. When those girls used to come over and we used to be all spruced up and decked up to be seeing them. I have very, very fond memories of a group which I think comprised of Jay Kumar, Pixie, some of these guys who never went to the institute. They used to study only like for 4 days. Pop was one of them. I think Vinay was also included in them. And they used to be sleeping and playing cards. And yet when the results came out, these guys were flying high. So I used to always feel jealous of them. And I remember guys like Neelam Engam, there's so many, George Phillip, some names that come, Thomas Victor. All these guys were very, very intriguing in their own way. Maybe they came from a different cultural background. Jack was another guy. I marveled at his simplicity and yet fun for life. And I think as far as education was concerned, I remember Ganesh Karant. I think he was one roll number ahead of me and used to sit ahead of me. And he was always accommodating. He would move to the side and I could write down whatever I had to. Having said that, I got caught once by applied mechanics. I don't remember the name of the teacher, but he accused me of copying from him, from somebody. And I said, how is it possible? You remember we used to have these halls where you were sitting at an elevation. They were like tiered seating, one below, one above. And I told him, listen, I am below this guy, so how could I have copied? But anyway, he sort of threatened me with resuscitation. I don't even know whether any of you guys knew about it. And he said, I'll give you my judgment after 3 days. So on the 3rd day, I go to his office outside and there's a note for me. You have been exonerated. Now, trust me, I didn't understand what it means. Either I have been found guilty or I have not been found guilty. But those were days. I think the IIT taught us a lot. We had fun in IIT. We used to go to the Mount Road eating joints. We used to go to the beaches. We used to go to I think some of the socials. And I remember Ashok Kharbanda for his motorcycle. While he was sleeping, he would steal his motorcycle and go to the beach. And some of us were gifted with height, with personality and talent, and they were luckier with when it came to socials, because the girls would scrounge around them to have a dance or something. But overall, I say IIT was a memory that you cannot ever forget. I might have forgotten my thermodynamics and applied mechanics, but friendship, people that we still meet regardless of what status they have achieved in life, and some of them have reached very high places, but overall a bunch of great people. And a testimony to that is the activity that we presently have in our batch, our Golden Jubilee reunion in 2017, and our desire to meet again, which was again, it was something that we had planned for 2020 in Nainital, which got thwarted because of this COVID-19. But the fire, the flame, the desire to meet, to talk, to chat, to pull each other's legs, to pull their pants down still remains. And I think overall, we have been gifted, we have been blessed. And I only say to the younger batches of IIT who are graduating now, study as hard as you can, but education in IIT is not all that is in life. Look at some of us and enjoy it too. That's all I have to say. Ramni?
I want to add a particular incident. In a thermodynamics class, we had a tutor called Shamarao, and I had the unfortunate reputation of being a little naughty. So after a little altercation, when he was the teacher and I was the student, I asked him to get out of the class. Now, and nothing happened to me in IIT. They were all very generous, kind people. The best part was, some years later, I went to BHEL in Hyderabad to get the approval for a turbine oil. Who do I find? Mr. Shamarao is the design manager. And I was amazed at the way he welcomed me and cleared all the things which I required, which was otherwise stuck. So IIT fraternity that way was, I must say, fantastic. And of course, every year it really used to happen that if you go from second year to third year, my surname is Sehgal, and somehow that got a little notoriety. So I was a little, I would say, lucky, because in academics and other things, people didn't know that I am the naughty Sehgal. But every year, went from second year to third year, every class the people would say, "Who's Sehgal?" Because they would, it's not just naughty. They were afraid that there would be absolute bad behavior. But then I must say, most of these guys were very, very generous. I once whistled. It's a terrific thing to learn to whistle. I don't know if you can do it now. But I learned in one of the vacations to whistle. So I came back and whistled in an applied mechanics class. And poor Sudhir Kumar Phul, Harish would remember, he was in our class. So he made the scapegoat. So Bapaya was the lecturer and asked Sudhir to get out. Sudhir was pretty happy because it was a very boring class. He was going away. And I was unhappy that he alone is going away. So I dragged him back. And then I said, I'm the one who whistled, not Sudhir. So after that, we went to Narayan Murthy. But they were all generous guys. So Narayan Murthy said, teach me also to whistle.
Great.
You referred to the copying from the guy who was in front of you. But do you remember that our final exam in the German language, where we were all officially allowed to copy from the guys who had learned the language better than the others?
Yeah. No, but just a clarification. I couldn't have copied because I was below him. He was above me, so he's the one who copied and got caught.